it has to remain the same that way. Okay? It's got to. Radio is meant to be a public service provider of information. People need to know that. That is what your local radio station's about. It's about that. I'm going to give you your local weather forecast on Weather on the Fives here in a couple of minutes, just about 3 minutes, because I haven't done one. We'll have another Weather on the Fives. When we do this freestyle stuff, I go on a rant. Forget about it, we're going to do a Weather on the Fives. We're going to do your local Weather on the Fives, but you can get your local weather from your local radio station. When you turn that knob and you go into your favorite station, wherever it is, wherever you're at in the area, you get your local weather. You get your local news. You get all the information. That is important. Europeans, for some reason, don't like local broadcasting. I don't understand why. They have to have everything nationwide. They have to be all gathered together, a worldwide connection. But when it all comes down to it, your local market, your local radio station is a very important source for information, and you've got to stick with it. You know, I'm sorry, that's how I see it. We have to have local radio. Whatever the case may be, we gotta keep it. I love doing this on Spreaker. I love doing the program and doing radio on Spreaker and giving you non-stop talk and all that stuff. But in all honesty, folks, I hope that you also listen to your local radio station, because that's where the information for what needs to go on. Because I can only do so much to give you the information you need to know right here. You're not going to get that emergency information from your Spreaker station. You're not going to get it from iHeart. You're definitely not going to get it from Sirius Satellite Radio. You're going to get it from your local radio station. That's all there is to it. You got to start thinking about that. You're not going to get it from anywhere else. So before you dump that AM/FM radio out of your car, before you dump it for that progressive garbage of saying that radio on AM and FM, the terrestrial radio, is useless, if you want to do that, go ahead. But I'm telling you right now, you're going to be lost in an emergency situation. You're just going to be plain lost. You know, you're going to be plain lost, because when you're looking eye to eye at that big funnel cloud and you're going, holy moly, I should have turned on my radio to find out if there was a severe thunderstorm watch out or a tornado warning. I should have checked with my local radio station to find out if there was a twister in the area. I'm driving around, you know? Because now you're going to be swept up to the land of Oz because you didn't turn on your local radio station to find out what the heck's going on. You know what I mean? GJRB in 2016. Still the What's Happening sound. There you go, the What's Happening sound. And you know, I got that jingle. That is a real old radio jingle that goes way, 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 way back. And those days, they promoted radio like that. Radio, the What's Happening sound. And that's why I use it for my station's promotion, because I stand behind radio as the information source. And there you go. And speaking of which, radio, another thing too, a lot of disc jockeys, now I heard a lot of these from the guys who grew up, that started the what was it, I was watching a video a while back on the history of rock and roll radio and disc jockeys and everything, and how radio grabbed the teenager and really got those songs out there popular and everything. And I was talking about that the other day too, a while back on another show, where back in the day when radio was the source of getting their song out. Radio was the original social networking. It was the original social sites. It was the original Facebook, because they would take their songs to the radio station and the disc jockey would put it on the turntable and it'd become an instant hit. You take Chubby Checker. He went into a radio station and had his song played. He walked in with a 45 in their hand and the disc jockey put it on the turntable and they played that song and it became a hit. You take, Bobby Vinton. I'm from Pittsburgh. Okay, Bobby Vinton was a big star in Pittsburgh. He was a big star. They had a lot of hits. He was discovered by a local radio disc jockey on KDKA. His name was Clark Grace. Yeah. You know why? Because the right person got a hold of his 45, and that record got on the turntable and it got played by Clark Grace. He was recognized by a disc jockey. Another group that was recognized by a disc jockey in Pittsburgh, I think KDKA, was Jimmy Beaumont and the Skyliners. Jimmy Beaumont and the Skyliners were discovered by local radio. Now, I have nothing against the internet. I have nothing against satellite radio. I think it's great. I personally, I love iHeartRadio, because iHeartRadio promotes the radio station. I can listen to iHeartRadio and actually listen to a radio station from Florida. I can actually listen to a radio station from anywhere I want. I can listen to WJAS from Pittsburgh on iHeartRadio. I love it. I love the variety and the fact that I can listen to jazz more than just once a week. Because I love jazz, and the only time I hear jazz is on WVIK, public station out of Rock Island, Illinois here. Local station. NPR. Local radio. There you go. NPR. Another local radio. I worked for a local radio station a long time ago in Pittsburgh. WDUQ, Duquesne University. At that time, 90.5. WDUQ was run by Duquesne University. I think they sold the station recently, a few years back, but that's how I started radio. I did public radio on WDUQ, Duquesne University. That's where I started doing radio. And I started getting the feel of being in the booth and looking out the window and seeing that tower. And the excitement of radio is there. And even though I didn't last very long on that station, the fact of the matter is, I got my break on a local station, a public station that did believe in me. And, I'm telling you what, I think that, like I said before, I'm going to be making a stand for local radio. And like I said, I'm on Spreaker. I'm on the internet. I'm internet radio. I give you more variety probably than a local radio station. I try to bring back the nostalgia that GJRB, with this weekend coming up here, the 4th of July weekend. But, playing, like I said, terrestrial radio. You'll never hear Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, any of the crooners anymore. Not anymore. Frank Sinatra just doesn't get played on terrestrial radio unless a local talk show host or even George Norrie overnight, talk radio, play his bumper music. Otherwise, you don't hear it. You know, and I like to listen to Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and Tony Bennett. Those were singers, folks. And I still like to listen to them. And they just don't play on regular radio anymore. Just don't. And personality radio. Like I said before, I'm bringing it back. Coming up this summer on GJRB Online here on Spreaker. Coming up this summer. Gary J's Good Times, Great Oldies Show. 50s, 60s, early 70s rock and roll. And you know what, folks? Some rare records. Some stuff you don't hear anymore. I'm going to put them on. Because I just love playing those oldies. 50s, 60s, 70s rock and roll. Classic oldies from the past. 50s and 60s. You're going to hear them right here on GJRB when I do Gary J's Good Times, Great Oldies Show. It's going to be personality radio the way it used to sound like. Because I've been listening to some of the old air checks. Some of the legends like Larry Lujak and John Rickards Landecker and all them guys. And I'm learning how to be that personality radio back in those days. I'm going to make it sound like the radio that used to be. The way terrestrial radio should go back to. Because the guy in that article said one thing that made sense. Let's bring back the local DJ. Let's bring back local radio. Let's bring it back the way it was. Because for some apparent reason, I think it's the only thing that's going to save local radio is the local guy in the booth playing the records, playing the hits, playing the stuff. And I think the oldies station, now, we had one here in the Quad Cities, KUUL, Cool 101.3, disappeared off the dial. Why? Because people don't want to hear that music anymore. And it's a darn shame. It really is. Oldies stations are fading. I don't know how many more are left. But oldies stations are starting to fade. You're not hearing as many of them anymore. So, you know, I'm out to saving AM, FM radio. I am here to save it, folks. And I can guarantee you that I'm relentless. You're gonna get sick of hearing it. Really, you are. You're gonna get sick and tired of hearing it. Because I am relentless on this. Okay? I am going to give you that kind of stuff. And it's gonna happen. AM, FM radio. I'm saving it. So what do you think? Give me a call on that before we go off. I'm going to stay on a little longer past 6, but tell me what you think. Why is it that I'm sticking up for local radio? Because some people won't. Why? Call me up. Tell me why you don't like local radio. Now, I can tell you the reason why. Like I said, the commercials. The heavy-duty 5-minute commercial breaks. But also because if you ever check your radio dial, especially at night on AM, you ever hear that horrendous noise? I've pointed it out to you a number of times. I've tuned the radio dial here at night, and the signal is terrible. You hear this awful noise on there. It sounds like aliens coming in. I mean, it's terrible. It's bad. And why is that? A lot of stations are going off the air because they can't afford to, and that's why a lot of the local small businesses that owned radio in the past have sold them because they can't afford to pay disc jockeys. They can't afford to pay the personality, the news people and stuff, because they just don't. Now I'm going to go ahead and give you your local temperature right now. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go into the weather thing, and I'm going to give you weather on the 5s. But like I said before, you can also get it from your local radio station. But I'm going to give you your local temperatures. I'm going to do that for you. Okay? Okay? I'm going to give you local temperatures. I'll give you all you need to know from your local weather. But please try to, go in there and turn on your local radio station from time to time. You'd be surprised at some of the stuff you might still find on the air yet. You might be, because, it's going to come a time when it could disappear. And I think it's sad because we need that local. Like I said before, when you doing a national emergency, what do? You turn on your radio for information and news. Where are you going to get it anywhere else? Your satellite radio ain't going to provide it to you. No. Not even any of them. And I'm not even getting any local temperatures on it. It's getting a different page. What happened to the weather data on this thing? No temperatures anywhere. Okay, well, weather. Well, the NOAA threw me a curve. They're not giving me the local temperature. So I'll tell you what. We're going to go back to Weather on the Fives when we get back to the next Gary Russen program. We're going to be on the air next week. We're going to be on the air live 2 o'clock Central for a regular Gary Russen program right here on GJRB Online. Start off with some news and information. I'll have open lines, open talk. We'll do another freestyle event like this, and we're going to leave it wide open and see if we get some audience. And we're going to do something that your local radio doesn't provide, but I'm still going to do some of the stuff that local radio does, because I love to do local radio and I like to be part of it, and I still like to do it on Spreaker. But the promo breaks and all that, but I make it so that you can listen to us more often and be able to listen online to this station. But I know I'm bringing you stuff that I probably sound like that local radio station that you're trying to get away from, and probably that's why I'm not getting the hits I usually do on this program because of it. But I gotta tell you, folks, I still put a variety into the program. I still make it so that when you listen to the broadcast, you still get something out of my show. And even if I don't get phone calls and I just rant for like about 3 hours, who cares, right? If I'm talking to no one, that's fine. But I know that somewhere along the line throughout the evening, when I check my Spreaker public site, I'll know that a bunch of people have already hit my show. And I start seeing numbers. And I know that I'm not listening, not really talking to myself. They're just coming in later to listen to the podcast. So, hey, I'm glad you tuned in. And I'm glad you clicked this podcast to listen to it. Thank you so much. This weekend on GJRB, I'm going to go ahead and give you our program schedule before we close out of here for today. First off, the Gary Russen program will be on again next Wednesday. We're going to be on the air again next Wednesday, 2 o'clock Central, for another Gary Russen program here on GJRB Online. On Saturday, the return of Gary J's Sports Page Talk Show. We haven't done that in a while. I skipped sports today because I'm working on another source of getting my sports information. Because Yahoo is fine, but they don't give me a short, condensed sports report to work with. Because I really don't need all that article stuff. All I really want is to know what's going on in the world of sports, but I don't want articles. I want a sports news story. Okay? So I am going to be looking for a new source there as far as that's concerned. I'll still use Yahoo Sports for scores, but I really want to look for something that gives me a direct sports report. None of that garbage of going through articles, because my sports sounds awful that way. So I'm trying to find different ways of getting a sports report without all that. But congratulations once again to the Pittsburgh Penguins for, what's the final score of that game? Like I said, I was out with my church family at that concert, so I didn't catch the hockey game. But what was the score of that? Congratulations, fourth Stanley Cup for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And congratulations, you guys. Yeah. Pittsburgh Penguins win, baby. Glad to hear it. So I'm glad that they won. They really deserve it. Some weather in the news we missed. La Nina. We'll talk about this next Wednesday. La Nina is taking over. That's right. Yep. La Nina is taking over, and they're saying now. Remember I told you a while back, I did a story on this, that the hurricane season is going to be more active. Remember me saying that? It said in this article that the hurricane season is going to be active because El Nino is over, La Nina is starting. Now, I'm not sure what that's going to mean for the winter. I'll check that out for you, but apparently I guess they're saying that the weather for that's going to change. And we'll talk about this next Wednesday. And I don't know what happened to that NOAA weather radio, NOAA thing, but I have another weather source I'm going to use instead, and that is off my Roku. That's Weather Nation and Weather Network. Those two are going to be my new source for weather now. Okay, so I'm going to do some memorizing and getting temperatures. And what I do is I have another videotape, a VHS tape. I'm going to set aside for this, so that when I do the next show, what I do is I record the temperatures before I go on. Usually I try to do this, but that Weather Network's okay, but I can't get in it fast enough. So I'm going to go back, and I always do the temperature for small towns like Podunk. Haven't did that today, but I will be finding some more small towns to plug into my Weather Nation so I can give you current temperatures. But I'm also going to do current temperatures for major cities as well, since I lost the weather data on NOAA, so I'm going to have to do something there. I have to fix that one because somehow they don't give me that anymore. I got to look at that website. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. But anyway, that's what it's going to be, so I hope you'll tune in for that. Also coming up on the next edition of the Gary Russen program, I'm going to talk further about the American flag. And I believe that song on Sunday answered my question. What is so offensive about the American flag? There is none whatsoever. It's a liberal who made that up. It's a liberal who's crying over that. So, hey, whang. The American flag is our nation's flag. And it's not offensive. It's not. It stands for liberty. Okay? All right? As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about putting an American flag on the GJRB thing for the 4th of July. So watch for that. I'm going to put an American flag on it. Now, usually you see the GJRB logo. I'll put that back up, and I'm going to find a picture of an American flag. And I'm going to put it on my GJRB public site for the 4th of July. So all you people who are offended by that, bye-bye. Pack up. See you later. Go to Europe, have a blast, but America, we're proud to display the American flag. Yeah, you better believe it, folks. That's definite. And we'll have more of this stuff. And the Gary Russen program will be back next Wednesday. And then Saturday, like I said before, Gary J's sports page. Got a full show, got some really good stuff to talk about on the sports page, like the hockey. Like Pittsburgh Penguins, we're going to talk about the Pens winning the Stanley Cup. We're going to talk about it, and also going to take some phone calls on sports. We're going to do the sports scores every 10 minutes, as we always do on Gary J's sports page. And we're going to talk about those awesome Cubs. See, there's a story I saw on Facebook the other day. Dusty Baker, who used to be the Cubs manager, is talking about the Cubs, saying he hopes they win. Dusty Baker, the one that really didn't do all that good as a manager for the Cubs, you know what I mean? He wasn't all that great, Dusty Baker wasn't. So we're going to talk about that and sports news, sports information, sports all around, all the way through. I think there was even a MLB draft recently. I'll check into that. Major League Baseball draft. I don't know, but I heard about this somewhere. And so I don't know. We'll talk about that. I don't know if there's any trading going on or what's going on. I hope the Cubs aren't stupid and get rid of some good players, but I don't know. They won yesterday. I don't know if they won today or not. I'm going to check that scoreboard before we leave here once. I'm going to go into my, let me go in real quick to my Yahoo. Even though I didn't really do anything. I want to go to my Yahoo Sports real quick, because I want to see exactly what happened today in baseball. I don't know. I'm going to just sign in here real quick before okay. Alright. Okay. Alright, let's go into sports. Okay. Alright, let's see. LeBron James could be writing his career. How about that one? Check that out. But I want to do some scores while we're at it. The only live game going on right now is tied. The Cubs and the Washington Nationals are on the top of the 10th inning now with the score tied 3-all. Oh, they're tied. Oh, man. It's getting good. Cubs tied. Man on first. I don't know who's on first. Let me see. I don't think it's who. And I don't think it's what. I don't think it's I don't know. Okay, let me see. Who's on base here? I want to check this. I don't give you it. Zubrist is up. But they put Zubrist in the top of the order? That's surprising. What happened to the other guy? They put Zubrist in the top of the order. Fowler must be getting the day off. Zubrist, Hayward, Bryant, Rizzo, Ross, Amora, and Baez, and Russell, and Coughlin. So, the Cubs are tied 3-all. 3-all. 3-all in the middle of the 10th inning. And Ben Zubrist grounded into a double play. Third to shortstop for first. Addison Russell out. So Zubrist grounded out, ending that inning. So the Cubs are headed now into the bottom of the 10th inning with the score tied 3-all. Okay. Good. Let's go Cubbies. Oh, I want to thank my wife today. Got a nice bag. It has the Cubs on it and some cup holders. So that's pretty good. And I enjoy that. And let's see. We're going to wrap up this show. So I'm going to say so long. That's it for the Gary Russen program today here on GJRB Online. Thanks a lot for listening. Hope you had a great time listening to the Gary Russen program today here on Spreaker, online, across the internet. And I hope you'll join me again for another edition of the Gary Russen program here on GJRB Online. Until then, have yourself a great evening. We'll catch you again next Wednesday and, of course, Saturday with Gary J. Sports Page. Have a great night, everyone. So long. Gary Russen speaking. This is GJR Broadcasting.